Hey guys, girls, what's up, man? Good to see you, man. Welcome to Cage Talk with Christopher James. I am Christopher James. Thanks for tuning in tonight, man. I don't have any scheduled guests. That doesn't mean somebody won't show up. I put out a few feelers to a few people, and I hope they come on by. So we're going to talk about a few things tonight. I want to remind everybody that Island Fights 63 takes place July 25th in Pensacola, Florida. And by the way, guys, make sure you do me a favor and pop in the comments. Let me know if you can hear everything coming through okay. Because I'm playing with a new microphone and I got a new computer set up today. So this is more of a test than anything else right now. So we're trying to make sure everything's working. So, drop a comment in there. But we're going to talk about all kinds of other stuff. If you guys want to share this around to the groups, man, I would love to have you do it. I would appreciate it. So just, let me know. Matt, it sounds good. Thanks, Matt. Hey, Matt, man, I would love you to come on the show tonight. You want to come on, man? I'll send you a link. You can jump in with me right now, man. It'd be awesome, man. We've never gotten to chat on the show, and there's so much to chat about. So if you want to come in, just mess with Jeffrey. What's up, man? How you doing, brother? Good to have you on board. Let me see. I got to make a few adjustments here. Sure thing. All right, Matt, I'm going to send you a link in your Facebook Messenger. All you have to do is click the link, add your screen name. If you have headphones, put them on. That helps a lot, and we'll roll. So let me send you that link. So, guys, we're going to get a guy coming in with us right now, man. I'm fucking excited about that. I hit the wrong button there. We're going to get a man joining us right now. He is going to step in from First Round Management. His name is Matt Weibel. He is one of the managers there. He's very familiar with Luis Pena, Bryce Mitchell. Maybe we'll find out some few things about those guys tonight that we don't know, because he brought these guys in. So, boom. So there's that. I just sent him the link just now. I was going to have Eric Kowal join us, but he's on the patio drinking beers. So no worries. But anyway, so I just send that link to Matt. So Matt should join us here in just a moment. Matt, yeah, like I said, just click the link and everything. But hey, and Forrest, if you share this, can you share it to the freaks and to MMA Access 24/7 and any place else you want to for me, brother? I appreciate it. Since I don't have any scheduled guests, I'm not going to go crazy with, the sharing stuff tonight, man. Hopefully it'll be a lot of good stuff, man. Jeff, man, it's great to see you chiming in tonight, man. It's been a while since I saw you pop up. So how you doing, boss, man? Jeff is an excellent artist, by the way. He did some great pictures of Mike Perry, and he did some great photos, drawings of Mike Perry, of Alex Nicholson, of me and my wife, and Patrick Berg. What's up, brother? So I hope you guys are all here to have some fun with us, man. Like I said, if you see the scroll on the bottom of the screen, Dean Toole, the CEO of Island Fight, says we're back July 25th. The reason you can't see my drink is because I got the green screen behind me. I figured it was appropriate since we got UFC Apex this weekend for Vegas. I figured I'd go with my Dana White Contender Series green screen background. Well, that didn't work out real well. Don't you hate when you go to roll a fucking blunt and the shit fucking doesn't, stick the way it's supposed to? It pisses me off. So now I got to do a little repair here. Hopefully that'll stay stuck. Put it back in my little machine. Give it a little roll ski. Hopefully it'll get it going nice and solid there. Yeah, I know you will, Forrest. I appreciate it. Like I said, if you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. No worries, man. So anyway, I sent the link to Matt. So Matt, whenever you get that link, just click it, and it'll bring you right to the studio, and I'll bring you in. So one of the things I want to talk about tonight is the UFC ranking system. My buddy Eric Kowal, I'm going to bring in Matt here right now. So joining us from First Round Management, he's also a man in blue. I love this guy. He's got two beautiful daughters, and he's awesome. So we're going to bring him in right now, the man himself, Matt Weibel. What's up, brother?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Oh, same shit, smaller shovel, man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine, man. I'm used to watching your show while I'm sitting in the car, so it's nice to be home and able to tune in. How
Well,
are you?
I'm good, man. Pete Fogel, my buddy, just said, please wear your mask.
Yeah, I got
All
to
right.
out there.
Everybody's giving me shit because I don't want to wear a mask. I don't think we should be forced to, but that's a whole other thing. We might even jump into some of that stuff with you too. But for you guys that don't know Matt is a police officer in Tennessee, but even a cool, and that's a great job. And thank you for your service, man. It's truly awesome that you go out there and, you bust your ass to protect, your community every day. But Matt has a second job. Most people have a second job like police officer. Their second job is doing security at a roller rink. Matt's second job is managing UFC fighters. He probably the most prominent client is Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty. That guy's got to be a fucking handful to deal with. So
no, he's so easy.
Before we get into to Bryce, tell us a little bit how you got into the management game, and why. That would be the next question, because a lot of guys go, man, managing fighters, man, it's like babysitting strippers sometimes. It can be a tedious task. So tell us why you decided to get into the management game, and what you're getting out of it for yourself.
Right. So I trained for a while. I started training back in high school and fought a little bit, and then got into the business side of things. I started matchmaking for a show in Memphis, Tennessee. And, I've been around for a while. I get along with all the gyms in my area, and I started sending some top prospects over to Abe. I knew Abe because I had worked a little bit with Matt Schnell, and they allowed me to kind of help him get his fights and stuff like that. And I ended up sending a bunch of prospects over to Abe, and finally Abe was just like, man, you're sending us all these prospects. Why don't you just work for us? We don't really have anybody working in that area right now. So why don't we bring you on and work for First Round Management and sign some of the best talent in your area? So that's how I got started. That was 5 years ago in April. So I've been with First Round for 5 years now.
That's crazy. You've been with them. No, that was me. I turned my mic off by mistake.
No, you're good.
It's a new mic, so I'm learning all the ins and outs of it. So 5 years you've been in, and like I said, probably your most prominent client that we all would know would be Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell in his last fight went out there and beat up my friend Charles Rosa. He really schooled him, and I think the world was shocked. I think even you as your manager, because you've seen Rosa, you know who Rosa is.
I knew Rosa. I've had, I'm a big fan of Charles Rosa. I think he's a great guy. I've had, before the fight, I didn't want to get too much into it, but I've had a guy go down to ATT before a couple of years ago, and when he came back, he was like, man, I had a great time down there. I learned a lot. And the guy he said that helped him the most down there and was like the most friendly and, just like down to earth was Charles Rosa. And he said he was a great training partner and everything like that. So, and I knew how tough he was going to be. I know he's a Laborio black belt and all that. And, I knew it was going to be a tough task for Bryce, and Bryce just passed it with flying colors, man. I have nothing but respect for Charles Rosa, and so does Bryce and his team.
I know Bryce is your guy, and you want him to win, expect him to win. But did you expect him to win the way he did? I mean, so dominating against a guy like Charles, because Charles is no slouch, against everybody else you've seen him go. He's like a gamer. He's tough. He goes out there. He puts in the hard work, and he really he didn't look good at all against Bryce. I mean, so.
Right. And I don't want to take anything away from Charles, because I don't think it had anything to do with Charles. I think Bryce is just that good, and people don't realize that yet, and they're starting to, because you saw what Charles did in his last fight. He went right back out there and beat Kevin Aguilar, who's really a top prospect, coming into the UFC, and he's had some good wins in the UFC. So I don't think it has anything to do with Charles. I think Bryce is just that good, and I think Charles even acknowledged that after the fight, telling him, you're championship material, because he really is. People just don't. But they see Bryce and they think, man, he's from Arkansas. Like, what's in Arkansas? But, like, I've been around this scene for a long time. Rolly Delgado, his coach, is super legit. Willie McLaughlin, these guys have been together forever. And, everybody tells Bryce that he needs to go somewhere. But, like, those are the best coaches for him, and he has such a tight circle, and he's not leaving Arkansas. He's so talented, and people are starting to realize that right now. Everybody that's known him for a long time knows how good he is, and the world is now finding out. So
yeah, and I'm not a big fan of fighters changing camps when they're successful. If he were to go on a losing streak and lose a couple of fights, maybe it's because, he became the big fish in his pond and he had to, step out to go get some extra training somewhere else. That's when you do it. Right. Until then, I mean, if it ain't fucking broke, don't fucking fix it, man. And that kid is, right. He's wild. He wants his camo shorts. He kills and eats squirrels. I mean, he praises Donald Trump. I mean, the guy is such a character, but forget the character part. He backs it up in the octagon. And, like I said, I was hard for me to pick that fight because, I like both guys. And, but, I've known Charles forever. So my heart was a little bit on that one. And I picked Charles. No slight to Bryce. I mean, some guys get so mad if I don't pick them. I'm like, man, it's no slight, man. But
it's no big deal. It's tough. It's tough to pick. Plus, you interview all these guys. Like I understand. It's
it's tough. I ain't trying to keep the right relationship with guys because they get mad and then they don't want to come on the show if I pick again.
I know.
Oh my God, stop it, man! It's part of the game. But so Bryce Mitchell, and I'm sure you spent some time with Luis Pena up there because he's from that neck of the woods too. He's also a first round guy. Tell us a funny moment that you've had with Bryce that we might not know about. Now we all know about Bryce's nut shot. When he
the drill.
We don't even got to know that one from him. But is there something else like funny, like when you're hanging out with him that just we would be we would like pee ourselves hearing about because I know you're a character. I see sometimes in the post when you're commenting back with different guys. So and because you used to scrap and you're a police officer, you would screw around with these guys. You don't give a shit. But
right.
Tell us something funny about you and Bryce. A good moment that you can share with us.
Man, just like before I get into all this, I want to just let everybody know that Bryce is probably the easiest fighter I've ever dealt with in my 5 years of management. He's extremely humble. Like he listens to his coaches. He listens to me. He takes our advice, everything. So, but one thing about him is he is different from your average fighter. There's so many moments. I wish I could say them all. I'm not going to say them all, but there's so many moments that
just give me one. Yeah, you don't have to give us all of them because I'm sure that some of them probably aren't suited for the show.
They're not, but like just things like, like the first time he had to deal with USADA, he lives in the middle of nowhere, like, on his own little property in Arkansas. And, they can surprise you at any random time, with the test. And he let me know to tell them that, like if they're coming to test him, they got to give some kind of warning or whatever, because ain't nobody welcome on his property. And if he don't know you, he's going to answer the door with a shotgun. So I had to let them know, like, hey, I know you guys are going to show up, surprise, whatever. But I'm just telling y'all, like, meet him at the gate or something, like, give us something here, because Bryce is not playing about that. Like, if he don't know you and you show up on his property, it's going to be a problem. So I had to let them know that. We had to work something out with USADA on how to get with Bryce. So that's all squared away now. But it was just funny when I first told him, like, hey, they're gonna show up at your trailer at 6 a.m. asking you to piss in a cup, so you better be ready for it. So
has he made you eat squirrel?
No, I won't eat squirrel. Sorry. No, he's not gonna make me eat squirrel for sure.
What if he says to you, hey, listen, after I win the title, you have to celebrate and eat squirrel?
Oh, if he wins the title, I'll eat as much squirrel as as he wants. So, and he's got a legit chance. I mean, he's only 26 years old. 25. I think he turns 26 in October. So he's either 25 or 26 right now. So he's got nothing but time. He's about to enter the rankings. I know you saw all the stuff going on with the ranking system and with the notes that came out. Yeah. So he's right there.
But before we do that, before we finish up on the Bryce Mitchell thing, so there's, looks like there's a little steam popping around him and Andre Touchy-Feely. That right there would be one hell of a fun fucking fight.
Absolutely.
Another fight, I haven't heard anybody talk about it yet, but a fight I would like to see because of the jiu-jitsu that both these guys possess, the extraordinary jiu-jitsu, and a guy who can't find a fight is Bryce Mitchell versus Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
I love in my head, I love that fight because we're going to get the most incredible scrambles, because Bryce showed what he can do, and we've seen every time we've seen him, he shows us just a little bit more, and I'm sure he hasn't showed us everything. But Ryan Hall can't find a fight, and Ryan Hall is sick on the ground. Yeah. Those two guys going at it makes my mouth salivate a little bit because that's a damn good matchup. So But does it look like we're going to move forward with the Bryce Mitchell, Andre Feely? Does that seem to be the direction we're headed right now? Without you giving away any.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Nothing's confirmed yet. It hasn't been offered. I will say that after each fight, I get with Bryce's coaches and we kind of take a look at the roster and see kind of what makes sense. I know everybody wants him and Ryan Hall or Cron Gracie. And obviously, those fights are going to happen someday. Right now, Ryan Hall has made it clear that he only wants to fight people ranked ahead of him, which I can respect. That makes perfect sense. With Bryce, he's not yet in the top 15. So if they want to put him in the top 15, great. Let's get a new contract and let's start doing that. But for right now, if he's not, we'll take on someone, anywhere from 16 through 20. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. And they have Andre Feely sitting at number 17. And I think, you've watched Andre Feely. He's a legit, a young, talented fighter with a ton of UFC experience. I think he's got probably like 15 fights in the UFC.
Yeah.
And he's exciting, and that would be a great fight to promote him and Bryce. Thug Nasty versus Touchy Feely. I mean, it makes perfect sense. If there's a like with Bryce, he's made it clear too that he, everyone's asking like why October, because that's when Bryce wants it. But Bryce doesn't jump right back into a fight camp. Like he has to put on weight, and that weight cut's tough for him. But he's trying to get stronger and bigger for this division. So he likes to take his 5 months after every fight and come back. And I mean, if you watch his progression in the UFC, from fighting Tyler Diamond to Moffitt to Sales to Rosa, like he gets better every time. He's still so young. So take the 5 months, get better. And then, I have asked the UFC for that fight. So we'll see what happens. I know they're probably not matching that far out just yet, but they do know we want that fight. Andre wants to fight. I was surprised he called him out the other night because unless the UFC brought it up to him, they haven't brought it up to us. So maybe he just saw Bryce as a name that excites him. And that's great for us because we want that fight for sure.
Yeah, and that would be an exciting fight. And if Andre picked him because Bryce is hot right now, it's smart, and for Bryce,
for sure.
And for Bryce to take out a guy that if he were to win the fight, I have to say if Bryce takes that fight and he wins that fight against such a tenured guy, that just definitely will put him with a number next to his name. I can't see him being less than 14 after that. And then his division is getting a little thicker, a little more stacked. Every month, there's a lot of killers
division is unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's awesome. So I want to ask you, and before we get into the rankings, the other night UFC Vegas, UFC on ESPN 11, I guess that was, with Blaze and Volkov. So we had a fight, Max Roscoff and Austin Hubbard. Now, Max spoke out finally and said that he's not mad at his coaches and everything, which is what you would expect him to say. And he said he had moments in his life, in wrestling and jiu-jitsu stuff where he just felt he didn't have any. He quit on himself, and he said he quit on himself at this fight. He's not blaming his coach for not, trying to push him forward. Me personally, if your fighter says you don't want to go, I don't want to go anymore. I don't care what you're trying to do. If he says he's not in it, that means he's not in it, and don't send him back out there because that's when he's going to get really hurt.
Right.
But with that being said, and I respect the kid for doing it. He knew he didn't have it that night. He didn't believe in himself. He didn't feel he belonged there. Get out. He'll get another fight, and I bet you his next fight we'll see why he was 5-0 coming in with all submission finishes. Because I've watched his fights before, and he was going to be on the Contender Series, so he would have ended up here anyway.
Right.
He jumped the gun, got there a little early. But everybody's talking about that, and I think the one thing that everybody's neglecting is the reason he quit was because Austin Hubbard made him quit. Austin Hubbard put him in a spot where he made himself feel like he didn't belong there, and I don't think he's getting enough credit for that. That was a great performance by Hubbard, and give me your thoughts on that fight and that situation with Mac.
For sure, and I respect your opinion, and I respect everybody's opinion on it. I will say personally, I've been in that position that Max was in where I was getting my ass beat, going into the third round. And, I went to my corner and like I knew I was going to lose this fight. Like I was losing. I was probably down 2-0. It was a good fight, but I was taking some damage. And I remember going into my corner and my corner man walked in and he said, we're good. Are you good? And I was like, no, I don't think so. But But I was like, no, I don't think so. I remember being just so tired. I was like, man, I don't think so. Because I also got like, I think it was the end of the round where like 1 second left, I was on top and I was throwing punches. And I looked down and he just up kicked me right in the jaw. And I was just like, kind of like dazed. That's when I went back to my corner. But I also remember saying, no, I don't think so. But I wouldn't have wanted them to stop the fight. Like I would have regretted that had I asked, for him to call it.
But you didn't ask for him to call the fight. He asked if you were right.
You're right.
Yeah. I mean, that's different. If you had said to your corner,
yeah, it is different.
I'm done. I don't want to go back out there. At that point, they have to honor your thing. If you regret it after, well, that's on you. But they should honor your request. You're right. They work for you.
I would say every fighter is different and every corner is different. Now, like Robert, he's going to know Max better than any of us. He knows, if this guy's got mental blocks in the gym, things like that. If I trained with guys and I was in their corner and they started saying call it after I'd spent hours and hours with this fighter, I would know that fighter. I would know how much he can push through. Because like, here's the thing. In training, you can tell who's going to quit and who's not going to quit.
Sure.
And in a fight, you can tell who's looking for a way out or not. So had he known like Max is really done and like he doesn't want to go anymore, maybe he was, I don't know. It's hard to judge, but I do get it. He did say call it so many times. So you're kind of changing my opinion on it, to be honest, because before I was just thinking like, man, I think Robert did the right thing to an extent, but after if we're getting to 10 seconds left and this dude is like, I'm not fighting, just call the fight. Like you don't want to be in there.
If I'm your corner, and you come back to the corner, and this is me, if I'm going to be your corner, Matt comes back to the corner and I go, you're right. And you go, I don't think so. And I go, you ready to go? And you go, I don't want to go back out there. At that point, I would say, are you sure, dude? Because I think you can go out there and put on a show and finish strong, And then if you said to me again, no, I don't want to go back out there, I'm done. I'm not even going to try to force you. At that point, you said to me that your head is not in the fight anymore, which means your heart ain't in it. And now when I send you out there, if you get, serious damage, that's on me. And I never want to be the guy that would have my fighter go out there and take it on his sleeve because I pushed him.
Right.
The fighter, and because you're a fighter, but you got to know, and you work with these guys all the time. The coach, the corner, as close and as much as they spend time with these guys that they train, they're not in their head, And if it's not in your head, I mean, you could get mad at me later for agreeing with you when you said I want to quit, and I asked you again to make sure. But if you say it to me twice, that says to me you're really not there anymore. I'm going to get you out of there. I'd rather you go home and live to fight another day. Let's work on it. And Drysdale's been with Max for a long time. Max lived with him for quite some time. So he knew ahead of time, in my opinion, that Max had issues with wrestling, walking out on tournaments and jiu-jitsu tournaments because he felt he didn't belong there and he wasn't in it. And he quit, and he said in a couple of interviews he's done. So Drysdale, knowing his pupil, should have known that. And when he heard him say it, you ask him once, and this is just my opinion. I don't think the UFC should be investigating it. It's not a UFC issue. It's a coach corner issue because they said they were going to look into that. And the Nevada State Athletic Commission said they were thinking about trying to sanction him. I think that's bullshit. The coach in the corner worked that out. The Nevada doesn't need to get involved because the end result was
he's trying to motivate his guy. It didn't work. It's that simple. What if Max got off the stool and was like, you're right. Like he's just trying to motivate his guy. Like I said, he may know him better. He's going to know him better than all of us, and he understands the severity. Like if this is a regional fight and he's getting, the shit beat out of him, he's been dropped 3 or 4 times and he comes back to the corner and he says, call it. That's a different thing to me. In my opinion, Max wasn't really taking a lot of damage. He lost the round for sure, probably a 10-8. He never got dropped. He didn't get rocked very badly on any of the punches. That was the other thing that kind of confused me is there was not a lot of damage done to Max in that round. So when he went back, I think he just underestimated how good Austin was and how tough the UFC was because, he did not look ready for that. And I think he found that out. That's why he wanted out. So.
It was cool. So we got to decide with Max. What did you think of Hubbard's performance? Because Hubbard put on a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got wrapped up in the Max hype, to be honest. I thought he was going to go in there and crush Austin. Even though I know Austin's good.
Did you pick Max?
I did pick Max, yeah.
I picked Austin.
Did you really? Yeah, and to be honest,
I went 6-6 that night. I was pissed. And
I went 8-4.
By the way,
8-4.
one of these seasons when you start up again, I
Yeah.
know you asked me about doing your fantasy league. I
Yeah.
am going to do it one of these times.
Sweet.
I just,
Sweet.
I forget, and then
We got another one. July. It starts July 15th. It's cool because this our last week of this season is going to end on the first Fight Island card with 3 title fights. So it's going to be a badass ending. Right now we have 62 players this season. My wife's in first place. Ironically, it's crazy, right? Like it's unbelievable. And she doesn't know anything about this stuff. It's crazy. So, and then I'm in I think I'm in 4th place. So, but yeah, it's fun. But I picked Max. I got wrapped up in the hype, and I should have known better because I've been watching Austin for a while. I was watching when he was the LFA champ because I have lightweights that could have fought him. So I've been scouting him out for a while. So I knew he was good, but I didn't expect him to put it on Max like that.
Yeah, that was crazy fun. Hey guys, you're watching Cage Hour with Christopher James. We are live tonight from the Cage Hour with Christopher James studio. As you can see, the Contender Series behind me, that's the Apex, but I'm not at the Apex. That's just a little green screen fun. We are chatting with First Round Management agent and a police officer in Tennessee, the man himself, Matt Weibel. He manages, most prominent client is Bryce Mitchell. We were talking about Bryce a little while ago. If you guys didn't just tune in, go back and watch it. So we're not going to repeat it. We also just got done talking about Max Reiskopf and Austin Hubbard. Max quit on the stool. His corner got shit for trying to force him to go back out there. Max ended up quitting to the referee himself, Mark Smith, which I like that Mark took control of that fight, and before when he went timeout, checked the fighter. That was one of the best things of refereeing I've seen, and hats off to Max for knowing when to say when. He'll be back. Even Dana White gave him respect for that because, some guys, they just go out there when they shouldn't, we had the Anthony Smith fight earlier this summer or earlier this year, and that fight probably should have been stopped as well. But, we move forward. So now the UFC rankings, again, Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos. If it's not for Joanna and Weili Zhang, that's fight of the year. But I don't think they surpassed the girls' fight. That fight was so fucking
it was a good fight, but that fight, that girl fight was amazing. Yeah, for sure.
That was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. So, but Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos would runner up to that fight to me right now, as far as what we've seen this year. But they had an epic war, and fucking Josh Emmett goes out there, he tears his knee up in 30 seconds, can't put weight on it, lands the bigger punches, lands the bombs, and it looked like he was fighting a middleweight. Shane Burgos is so freaking huge.
He's huge. He's huge.
He's a good guy. They're both good guys. I did. I know Shane's a client of First Round. I picked Josh Emmett to win. I just had a gut feeling. But after finding out all the injuries and the way that he pulled that off, that makes it even that more impressive because Shane Burgos is one of the top flight prospects in that division. I mean, he's a scary dude. But like I said, it was when they walked to the octagon that I'm going, the fuck, man, Josh is fighting a goddamn middleweight right now. This is
he's huge.
It's like Luis Pena. He's so big. Pena 6'3", got incredible reach and all that stuff. But so in that fight, again, we had a decision, and it was fucking, like I said, it was just an awesome fight. Like I'm sitting here right now and I'm just like picturing moments in my head of the fight. Like I lost my train of thought because the fight's playing in my brain right now.
Those are the fights that you hate, like how the pay structure is, because Josh and Shane both deserve to get their show and win for that. That's why I'm glad they at least got fight of the night, because that's one of those fights where you hate to lose your win bonus on because the fight was just amazing.
And I'm glad you brought that up because we could discuss that. Another first round client, John Jones and Masvidal, both of them are really sticking their feet in the ground about their fighter pay. And John Jones catches a lot of shit from everybody for different things. He's made some mistakes in his career. I've never swayed my support from him. People give me shit about it all the time. And I tell them all the time, and he did this, he did that. I said, go look at his USADA record. There's no conviction for fucking taking dope. None. There's not a steroid conviction on there. He got suspended for stupidity and ignorance and not reporting stuff. So you guys can shit on him all you want. That's the facts. That's what it goes down as. So, now the DUI, my neighbor can get a DUI. Fucking the only reason it's a big deal is because John Jones. The nose thing, a few years back, it was so ridiculous. He admitted he had a problem. Boom, boom, you move forward. But out of all the things he's done, John has always been a company guy. He's never once complained about fighter pay. He's never once complained about a contract. And I think at this point for him to say something about it when he was willing to move up and take on the scariest guy in the division in Francis Ngannou at a heavyweight, because everybody's been waiting for Jones to move up. I am so much more of a fan for John right now because he's finally, listen, people are like, he shouldn't say anything. He's got all the trouble. So he should take less money because he made some mistakes. He already paid those penalties. He missed 3 years of fighting. That's, 3 years of fights. That's 3 years of paychecks. So he suffered, and so now for him to say, I want more money to move up and do that, they should give him more money. They don't have that many stars.
Well, if you want to fight like that, I mean, why would he fight Francis Ngannou, which is probably I would say the biggest or the second biggest fight that the company can make right now? Why would he fight him for the same pay that he would fight Blachowicz or Reyes again?
And what's funny?
Because you're obviously going to sell more pay-per-views for Ngannou.
Yeah, and what's weird? I think if he was fighting DC for another fight, let's say DC wins the heavyweight title, and now he's facing Jones, champion for champion, but even without the belts, I think they would pay John more money for that fight than they would for the Ngannou fight because of the history, the rivalry. So it's and it kills me. And fighters sign a contract. This is what you signed for. You knew what you were getting into. Now, if you're going out there and killing it, like Masvidal, Masvidal signed a new contract, I guess, before the BMF fight. Apparently, an 8-fight deal is what's being reported, from Malky and Abe, on social media or he himself. But he's a hot commodity right now. He's a star. They never bitch about renegotiating with Conor, and Conor is a big star. Now,
and that's the thing. You sign a contract, but everybody knows those contracts can be renegotiated almost at any time. Bryce was on a 6-fight Ultimate Fighter deal and got a new deal after 3 fights.
Right.
So everybody knows those deals can be renegotiated.
I know Mike Perry is renegotiated into like 5 different contracts in his 12 fights because he's talented. He brings the heat every time, win or lose. He's entertaining, he's engaging, he's a personality, and he's been able to parlay that into better contracts for himself with the help of you guys in the first round. So Masvidal, like Jones, are 2 of the biggest stars they have right now, and with Cejudo walking away, 2 champs, 2 belts right there, even though he vacated one, he's still the champ in both those divisions till somebody else is. Yeah. So they lost 2 belts. Jones just came out today. There was an article on Junkie said he'll sit 2-3 years. He don't care. So that's 3 belts. DC and Stipe, if DC wins and walks away, that's 4 belts. And legitimately, in the next 60 days, that could be gone from the UFC. And if Amanda stays true to what she said, she's getting ready to have a baby. She wants to take some time.
She's got 2 of them.
Right. So that's 7
belts. 2
belts.
belts,
That's ends up being 6 or 7 belts the UFC is going to lose from having. And, they can make, matchups with whoever they want to, put new champions or interim champions out there. But at the end of the day, they're not the same thing. And even if, put 2 guys together that are good fighters, doesn't mean they're going to have the star power to bring the tickets. You have a few guys on your roster right now that do that. And then there's a few coming up, like a Sean O'Malley is showing that he's a gamer. Bryce Mitchell coming up. People are seeing that he's going to be a star. Pena is going to be a star. Masvidal is a star. And if Masvidal walks away, he's got the BMF belt. So that's 8 fucking belts. And, people go, oh, that's not the real belt. But it is. It means something to the fans. That fight meant something to a lot of people. As a manager, how difficult it is for you when, you go to bat for your fighters that deserve more money. And, you have to dig your feet into the trenches. And I know, Abe and Malky are good at it. I don't know if you are handling all the negotiations for contracts or if it gets handed off to the office. So, but how hard is it for you? Let's say, like you said, Bryce got a new contract. Now, right now, Bryce is in a good position. If he goes out there and wins another fight in a glorious fashion, you could probably get on the phone with them and get him another new contract, at least, a pay raise, even if it's the same term, if it's still 6 fights, and let's just say for a number, let's say he was making 10 and 10, and you bumped him up to 20 and 20 because of the new contract. Now, you get another glorious win. You could probably get him up to 30 and 30. And I know those are lower numbers than what it probably really are. I'm just, the escalation of what I'm saying, percentage wise, you can go out there and really negotiate. But what do you do when you run into Dana White or Maynard or Shelby and they're like, can't give him any more money? I mean, where does that leave you from?
Well, that's the good thing about first round. Yeah. Right. Well, that's the good thing about first round is Abe and Malky have so much experience with these bigger name guys and so much more experience with the contract negotiations that when it comes time for one of our guys, if they're on the come up and it's time for them to renegotiate their deal, Abe and Malky are going to handle that for them. So I have never run into any issues with any of my guys on getting a pay raise or a new contract. So I think the only time you're really running into that is someone that, that's a superstar in the sport that's wanting, like an unheard of number or an unusual number. And that's why you're running into that with John, or that's why you're running that with Masvidal right now. But I'm confident they'll both sides will get a deal done eventually. But me personally, I've never run into that problem with any of my guys. So that's a good thing.
If let's just for conversation's sake, let's say a contract, it's time to get Bryce a new contract. I'm guessing would be involved in the conversation with Abe and Malky or whoever's handling it, of where you guys want to be, and where they want you to be, where they think you should be. You all get together. They'll go out there and handle a negotiation. But you're going to be involved in that whole process from home. I'm guessing, from your home studio, you'll be in touch with them while they're sitting with Dana or they're on the phone, or maybe even a Zoom thing where you get to sit in, because at the end of the day, Bryce is your responsibility. Correct? I mean,
yeah, that's right.
I mean, he's part of first round, obviously your first round. So, I mean, the other guys can handle him too, but he's one of your guys, in
right.
the state. Right. So, you'll be involved from start to finish on that, even if you're not the actual voice.
For sure.
That's awesome, dude.
Yep.
And you learn a few tricks from Abe and Malky, man. So,
right.
and then you'll have to, because I'm sure at some point you're going to be doing those deals yourself, and that'll be awesome, man. You get to go sit at the big table, and you've earned that spot. Bringing them enough talent.
They've let me learn. Like that's the good thing. I know that they're going to take care of the big things like that when the time comes. However, there are some things too that they'll let me, do my thing on. They'll throw me in the fire basically and let me learn. So, like for example, a lot of people don't understand that, like with World Series of Fighting before they turned to PFL, they never let guys out of contract. It was terrible. I was telling people not to sign with them. Do not sign with them. Before I got Bryce, he was signed by World Series, and we spent, I believe, like over a year, maybe a year and a half trying to get him out of that deal. And I think he was like maybe the second fighter that they finally let out other than Justin Gaethje. And that was something that they allowed me to do all on my own. I had all my conversations with Ray Sefo and the matchmakers, and I did all of that. They let me do that. They told me it's going to be a battle. Work on it, be firm with them and let them know. And Bryce, we let them, because they wanted, the thing was they wanted Bryce to fight. So he signed with World Series when he was 4-0. Okay. Right. But they couldn't keep him busy. They couldn't honor, whatever. Right. So they were like, hey, he can go fight regionally, whatever. So he was going and taking regional fights. So that's fine. He got up to 9-0 or 8-0, 9-0. And they wanted him to fight Lance Palmer, who's won now 2 straight PFL $1 million tournaments. They wanted him to fight on the same contract that Bryce signed originally.
$2 million. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is, and they wanted Bryce to fight Lance Palmer for like 5,000, which at the time, Bryce had already doubled his professional record since he signed that original deal. And Lance was making way more than that. And we're like, we're not fighting Lance Palmer, unless you want to pay Bryce UFC level money, because Bryce is a UFC level fighter. Let's get a new deal. They didn't want to do a new deal. That's fine. We're not going to fight Lance. And they're going to keep extending our contract. Bryce was fine with sitting out and getting better. And then finally, the Ultimate Fighter opportunity came, and Ray, we had a long conversation with Ray, and he finally let him out because he realized, like, Bryce is not backing down, man. He will not fight. Bryce would go and teach at the gym and live on his property and be perfectly content without fighting. So they kept extending his contract to the point where they're like, all right, I guess he's not going to fight anymore. So we'll release him. And that was the best thing that ever happened to Bryce. So.
Yep. And you know,
Yeah.
you brought Justin Gaethje, the only other fighter to get released. Well, you know, when your manager, Ali Abdelaziz, is, you know, one of the vice presidents of WSOF,
exactly,
you get your fighter out of the deal.
Exactly. And that was another thing that, like,
that was crazy.
Yeah. I know Ali's a matchmaker, and you want us to fight Lance Palmer, who's an Ali guy. It's not going to happen. You know, like, with all the shadiness that happened with that, him getting in trouble for all that, you know, we're not messing with that. It's not going to happen.
That's silly. So we have a question for you, if you can see it on the screen there.
Hey, Matt, you want to fight? Hell no, I don't want to fight.
Do you know who Ray Mateski is?
I don't think so. I don't know who that is. No, I don't want to fight anybody. I'm way past the prime and way out of my weight class. I used to fight at 135. It ain't going to happen.
Hey,
never again.
We have this private chat feature on here. I sent you a message. Read the message if you could see it. Oh
shit!
It's right here. There should be something on your screen that says.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
I would say no comment on that.
Okay.
Just because I don't know exactly what is going on. That's why I asked.
If you guys are wondering what I asked him, if we can discuss, I'm not going to bring it up because, you know, it's not his realm.
I would say that there's always a problem somewhere with somebody, whether it's us, them, another agency. There's always going to be a problem. So let me ask you then. You know, the four prominent management groups in that deal with the UFC are First Round, Dominance, which is Ali. He's got a stable full of champions. Sucker Punch and Iridium with Jason House. Iridium, Jason House has been getting a lot of the guy who wanted to fight you goes, sorry, I had to troll your feed, Chris. Yeah, I don't know.
He's one of my buddies. I didn't know if you knew him. That's why I was laughing.
No.
But so there's four, you know, most well-known management groups that pretty much have, you know, the champions all split around them, and you know, they have, you know, the probably the most clout. Iridium has been putting a lot of guys on these cards recently, which is what you're supposed to do as a manager: get your fighters fights. He's been catching some heat from the fan base and a little bit from the media about Iridium guys fighting Iridium guys, you know, multiple times on different cards. My thing is, if they're not teammates at ATT or AKA and everything, and they just have the same management company, who gives a shit? Jason's doing his job, getting his guys fights. That's what he's supposed to do. If they fight guys that are in the same stable, as far as management, I don't think there's any conflict there. I think it's just, boom, you want to fight? Boom, you want to fight? All right, your manager happens to be the same guy. I think it makes negotiations easier to get everybody to the table and get shit done. As a manager yourself, do you see any problem with, you know, that going on? Because to me, I don't think it's a big deal. You know, I mean, if he was, you know, putting in a guy that, you know, he's putting in a fucking top prospect against a can, that I would have a problem with. But he's not doing that. He's putting, you know, his guys that are getting, you know, he's not even making the matchups. The UFC saying, hey, I got this one. And then he goes, oh, shit, they're both my guys. All right, well, let me see what they want to do. I mean, that's pretty much how it is, right? They contact you. I mean, I'm sure sometimes you guys suggest fights, you know, as management groups. But for the most part, the UFC say, we got to fight for your guy. And that's usually how the thing starts. So do you see a problem with him just, you know, if they're calling and say, hey, I want this guy, and he's representing both of them about those fights happening? I mean, look at Justin Gaethje and Khabib. They're both Ali guys. They're going to fight for the fucking unification. So why is it okay there and not okay? You know, why are people busting on Jason House, who I've been thinking is a phenomenal guy?
I would say it's probably one of those things that you would try to avoid, but it happens when you have a lot of guys. It's happened to us. It's happened to everybody, I think. I would say right now, with all the cards being in Vegas, I think he has a lot of guys in that area, so it makes it easier for them to bring someone in from Las Vegas or California or whatever. So It happens, I think it's something that you would try to avoid if you could, but not, you can't always avoid it. Now, as far as how you're getting them in, it's going to be, hey, we have a back out. Do you have anyone that can fill in at this weight? And that right now they're not going to take someone from outside the United States. And if they're even closer to Las Vegas, it's probably better for the UFC to do that. So I think that's what's happening right now. That's why you're seeing a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, if you can avoid it, you will. But it happens, like Derek Lewis is about to fight Olynyk. They're both first round guys. It happens. When you have a lot of guys and a lot of top guys, that's going to happen. You can't just turn down fights because they're both your clients, especially when you have so many in that weight class. Like it can't be avoided at all times. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's different if they're training together in the same gym. Like Usman and Burns trained together. Usman moved to Denver. He's going to train at Elevation. And we've seen a few cases of that over the years. And me personally, I don't care if two guys train at the same gym and they're in the same division, and we start getting into contender and title fights. Or fights to get into the position. You got to fight a guy that's in your gym. You got to fight the guy that's in your gym. That's the way it works. You want to elevate, and or the other option is, your boy's the champion. Well, you'll just sit back here and wait till somebody else beats him, and then hopefully you'll still be in championship shape to go get that. So I don't have a big problem with that. I would say it's a low level. When you're first entering the UFC, probably silly at that point. There's nothing worth fighting one of the guys you train with all the time. But when you start getting into the top 10 and above, everything's open to me. So the rankings. Oh, wait, before we even get to the rankings, that's going to be the deepest discussion. Platinum Mike Perry. Fucking love Mike Perry. Oh, before I forget, I have Rod Galvin said, you better give him a fucking shout out, yo.
What's up, Rod? Rod wants me to tell me he got me hired for my first matchmaking job. I guarantee you that's what he wants to hear.
All right, so I
got to help me get hired.
I got a question for you from the crowd, from Luis Cousin Cardoso. He says, what does happen to the negotiating power when a fighter loses after going on a streak?
It hurts it, for sure. It's always better to be coming off a win. Like that's one of those things. Like, if you want to go into a negotiation, it's always easiest if you're coming off a win, for sure, because you lose some of that power when you go off of a loss. And it's not even a power thing. It's just it's something that they can throw at you. Like, look, you're coming off a loss. This is what we can do for you. But if you're coming off a win, it's always easier, for sure.
What if it's a guy like Tony Ferguson who was on a 12-fight winning streak and lost?
Yeah,
does he lose any juice? He doesn't lose any juice.
No, I wouldn't think so. Those superstars, I don't really mean that for the superstars. I would say for, like, say Lewis is going into a negotiation.
He's on a 3 or 4 fight winning streak. I guess maybe that's where he's looking. So if
you're asking for a crazy amount of money, then I would say yes, they would use that against you. But if you're, for someone like Tony, no, I don't think so. I think his is going to stay the same. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm thinking he makes probably a flat fee of like $250,000, $300,000.
Yeah, he gets paid. He gets paid.
Yeah,
and of course, he got a piece of that pay-per-view as well. So good for him. I saw him in Jacksonville when he was leaving town after the fight and everything. I saw him going out to the bus. I said hello to him, dude. And he was it was like nothing even happened, dude. He was just like Ferguson again. It was like dancing around in the street.
Yeah. He's a freak. He's a freak of nature.
Love that dude.
Yeah.
So what I was going to get to, Mike Perry, another first round client. I announced Mike on the regional scene. Love Mike. Mike's, had his ups and downs in the UFC, wins, losses. But he's still there. He, like I said, even with winning and losing the way he has, and up and down, he's been able to parlay that into more money almost every time. Like every other fight he can get to negotiation because first round has his back, and he, even without winning, still delivers. Yeah. So,
he's a fan favorite for sure. I think he just passed 500,000 followers on Instagram, so he's got a big fan following.
The people love him. Yeah. Now this weekend, and he said it, a few weeks back, he goes, I don't need a corner. I don't need anybody to tell me how to fight. I know how to fucking fight. The coaches aren't in there when I'm fighting, not them. and they tell me to do dumb stuff, I don't want to do it. All I need is somebody to throw water on my face and tell me, hey, you're looking good, bae. So he brought his girlfriend with him to Vegas, and she's the only one with him. There's nobody else with him. He's following through with it. He did say that after this fight, he's probably going to assemble a team of coaches. But he said he wanted to prove to everybody that he can do this on his own because he does know how to fight. I'm going to tell you like this, and I'll ask your opinion on it. I have no problem with what he's doing. You know, Mike is a stand-up fighter. Mike is a fucking animal that wants to get uncaged. Trying to coach him, I mean, in this instance, you know, he'd be able to hear the coaches because there's nobody there. But normally, I don't think fighters really hear their coaches that much. You know, the arena's buzzing and everything, and you're in your fight. So I don't know how much you take from it. In the Apex, we found that in Jacksonville as well, we found that fighters can hear all kinds of shit now, you know, and it's kind of crazy. But so Mike could hear coaches this time, but he doesn't want to hear what they got to say. He wants to do it his way. He wants to go out there and fight. Mike's been in this game, you know, long enough. You know, he don't need somebody to tell him to defend a takedown. If Mickey tries to take him down, Mike's going to defend the takedown the best of his ability, you know?
Yeah, I think with his style, he just goes out there and brawls it out, and he's going to knock Mickey Gall out.
Yeah,
in my opinion, he's going to knock Mickey Gall out. So
yeah, I fully see that Mike is, but I think Mike's going to knock him out too. And I don't think it'll go late into the second round if it makes it to the second round. I know
Mickey's he's in over his head, man. Like this, you had trouble with Diego Sanchez. Good luck.
And you know, and he's a low-key Mike Perry fan. He said it himself. So, you know, he might get in there and the bright lights might be a little different for him fighting somebody that he's a fan of. It's going to be very interesting. But either way,
people forget Mike Perry beat Paul Felder.
Yeah.
You know, less than 2 years ago.
Yeah, but I
beat his ass.
Yeah.
It was a great fight, but he beat his ass.
Yeah, it was a really good fight. But I think Mike is going to take Mickey and remind him, you know, that he should work on his stand-up a little more because, you know,
I mean, people think that it's just like it's not easy to take Mike down. It's not going to be easy to submit Mike. Cowboy submitted him. Cowboy submits everybody, you know.
Cowboy is a legend, you know. I mean, Mickey Gall is a good
Diego Sanchez just mauled Mickey Gall.
Yep.
Like a year ago, right?
Yeah.
So like Mike just beat Ally Quinta in a grappling match too. Yep. You know, like people were sleeping on Mike's grappling. Mike can grapple.
I know.
Mike can grapple and Mike can knock your head off. So if Mickey can't get him down, then he's going to be in for the longest night of his career.
And it's going to be a short, long night because Mike is not going to, you know.
It's going to be a long. Yeah, it's going to be a long recovery. I think.
Yeah.
Short night at the office, long recovery. But we'll see though. I'm not going to give away my picks.
No, that's fine. Some of your people might be
trying to win this league. I'm trying to win this league.
Yeah, well, so but we just picked the co-main event, so we got that, and I am going to ask you to pick the main after this. But the point of the whole thing with Mike Perry is, so Mike Perry is doing this without a corner. What's your thoughts on that? Because, like I said, I think it's fucking dope. It's not like it's his first fight. You know, he's been doing this. He's a vet. So,
yeah, I mean. I don't really know what the reason for it is. I haven't dove deep into it. Mike is Mike. He's a different guy. I think we all know that. And we're sitting here talking about him, you know, there's a reason we're talking about him, you know? So like you said, he's going to use this and to his advantage and show why he's so popular. We're sitting here talking about him. Everybody's talking about him. Everybody's talking about his decision to do what he's doing this weekend. And that's fine. If he feels like he's ready to go in there and take Mickey's head off without a corner, then more power to him. You know, he don't have to pay for those corner flights. You don't have to pay for those coaches or whatever. So whatever he wants to do, man. Mike makes a lot of money with the UFC, and there's a reason for that, and I think he's going to show that again this weekend.
Yeah. So one of my followers, Forrest Daniels, says, "Hey Matt, so he wanted to know your picks for the main and co-main. We already did the co-main. We know you got Mike Perry. I got Mike Perry. I think Forrest got Mike Perry, but the main event." Hooker and Poirier. This is going to be a good fucking fight.
That's an amazing fight.
Right now, I believe Poirier is coming in as the favorite, which I honestly didn't expect because Hooker's been on a tear the way he is, you know, and I mean, Dustin's no slouch, you know, and everything. But when these younger guys are coming up and their fire catches, they usually get favored against everybody. I mean, you know, like Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades has been in 12 UFC fights and he's been the favorite
every time. Yeah,
that's got to be. I mean, other than John Jones and maybe like GSP.
That's a rare thing.
That's a rare thing, you know. So, but So main event of this fight, I'll let you give me your commentary first, and then I'll tell you mine.
I think it's an excellent fight. I think people are forgetting how badly Barboza brutalized Hooker not too long ago. And I think Dustin is more than capable of doing the same exact thing. Dustin's done this to everybody for the past 5 years. He's been mauling folks. Look what he did to Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That everybody's big on right now. Look what he did to him. He brutalized him, and this is the exact same type of fight. Dustin lost to Khabib. That's fine. Khabib's a completely different fighter. The type of fight that Hooker's going to bring to Poirier is exactly what Poirier wants. So I think as long as Poirier doesn't get too comfortable in the pocket, you know how he'll get in the pocket and he throws long combinations. So as long as he doesn't leave his head too long in the pocket where Hooker can throw one of those nasty ass knees up the middle, I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. Probably going to be fight of the night, but I think Poirier is going to put him away late, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
with punches.
I have the exact same philosophy on Poirier in this fight. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like you were in my head. I'm listening to talk. Going, I don't even have to give my side because Matt just told everybody my side and his side. And I think the biggest factor that everybody isn't talking about is the experience factor of this type of fight on this level, being a championship, a championship caliber fight. Dustin's been here. Dustin's done that. And no disrespect to Hooker, he's a legitimate killer in there. But I think he's going to get served up some humble pie on Saturday night. And
he even said, did you see where he said he wants Connor or Tony to call him out after the fight? Like, come on, man.
Listen, man,
you're not there yet.
He's already getting too far ahead of himself. So
that's not going to happen.
No. All right, so rankings, guys. That's what we were talking earlier, and then we switched gears. Shane Burgos and Josh Emmett had this amazing fight, like we said. Emmett took home the win. Burgos went out there and put it on a great fight. He was ranked 8, I believe, before the fight. And in the rankings, he got shot down 4 spots in the rankings. Matt disappeared. I don't know where he went. Like his picture's gone, but his words are there. Can you hear me, Matt? He disappeared. I don't know. Maybe he'll be back. He was moving his phone around. Maybe his phone died or something. I don't know. So we'll find out in a minute. But so we were, like I said, we were talking about the fight and the rankings. So Burgos got bumped 4 spots in the rankings. And apparently a letter was sent out to the UFC rankings panel about how they should make their picks and what they should do, and since one journalist was out, they wanted them to adjust their picks.
My bad.
No worries. Let me remove the other one from you. There you go.
My phone died, so I had to hop on the laptop. That's why I was trying to.
I figured I saw your terror show. I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. I said, phone died because your name was still on the screen. I was like, oh, he's gone. Maybe he's here. Maybe you just don't want to, maybe he's making a protest. I don't know, but so I was saying, Burgos got shot down 4 spots in the ranking. There was an edict sent out by the powers that be of the UFC rankings that our buddy Eric Coel from My MMA News, not to be confused with my site, My MMA Show. So My MMA News, Eric Coel is one of the best in the business. He doesn't care about this, that, and the other thing, but he cares about what's right every single time. And he went public about it, that he felt it was wrong, that the rankings people were telling the panel how to pick and how many spots to move somebody down. Malky, I believe it was Malky tweeted about it or Abe tweeted about it. And I commented on there, and I said, it was a really awesome fight. I said, Josh won the fight. But in my opinion, if I'm on the rankings panel, you know where Burgos goes from, because he was ranked 8 coming in. You know where Burgos would be today with me? 8.
Yeah.
He did. I can't move him up because he didn't win, but I'm not moving him down after a performance like that. That's just me. because I don't think he deserved to go down. That was a fucking war. Like we said, if it wasn't for Joanna and Wele, those guys are fight of the year, leading contender right now. So you can't drop him down 4 spots. If you wanted to drop him 1 down to number 9, I can accept that. I still don't think he deserves.
I think he was 10. I think he was 10. Bert and Emmett was 8.
That's right. So he could. So dropping him from 10 to 14. No.
Who's 9? Do you know who 9 is?
No, I can look it up. Let's see, UFC rankings. I love doing this during the show.
I had them pulled up a minute ago, but I had to close it out to pull this up on my laptop.
Yeah, all right. So I'm guessing these are the official UFC rankings, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's probably Stevens.
I
I think he passes Stevens with that performance.
what question am I looking for again now?
Burgos, or number 9 on the featherweight rankings.
Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now on the UFC's website for the official UFC rankings, it's obviously it's Volkanovski as a champion. It's Max Ortega as a beat, Chan Sung Young, Yair, Calvin Kattar, Frankie, Josh Emmett.
They should take Frankie out.
Huh?
He's bantamweight now.
Yeah, but they haven't moved him out of the rankings yet.
Need to.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to. But Josh Emmett is at 8, Stevens at 9, and Burgos is down at 14. Sodiq Yusuf moved up 1, Ryan Hall, Aldo. How does Aldo move up the rankings when he's, he's not even.
See, that's what I'm saying. They need to take out Aldo and they need to take out Edgar.
Yep.
They're bantamweights,
Yeah. And it's, with where they're at, like, so Josh is at 8, and I'm good with him there. I honestly think he should be ahead of Frankie Edgar. I think he should be ahead of Calvin Kattar too. I think Josh Emmett deserves to be higher up than he is. And I think, Shane needs to go back to number 10 where he was, because he didn't do anything to deserve dropping 4 spots.
No, he didn't.
So
he's earned his ranking, He had a war with Calvin,
But what disturbs me is that, when it came out publicly, some people were like freaking out. Eric thought he was going to lose his spot on the panel. And he told him today, he shared on Facebook, that they actually said they thought he was pretty smart, but so they're keeping him around, and they want.
I was happy he put it out, because I got to see that they had, like, regardless of the recommendation or what, both recommendations were to put Bryce in the top 15, which I liked. I don't like the fact that they wanted to remove Burgos or Emmett off a loss. That doesn't make any sense. Remove Frankie, remove Aldo, let Shane keep his spot, keep Emmett where he's at, and or move him up 1. Put Bryce in the rankings and put Feely in the rankings at 15. Yep. Put Bryce at 14, put Feely at 15. There's your problem. Take out Edgar and Aldo. They don't need to be in there. Aldo's about to fight for the bantamweight
title.
Why is he fought bantamweight his last fight? There's no reason to keep him in the featherweight rankings.
Why is he even fighting for the bantamweight title? He fucking had 1 fight at bantamweight and he lost to Marlon Moraes.
It's a political thing, whatever.
I think it's a do-over because they never gave him his rematch against Conor.
Yeah, he don't want that.
Well, back then he did.
He thinks he does.
No, listen, man. 14 seconds. How long was that fight? 14 seconds.
13 seconds.
They tagged each other. Connor's just landed a little more flush. So, I don't. Although fears no man, I don't think he, fears McGregor. But I just think he's past that now. But if anybody in the UFC as a champion coming off a loss deserved an instant rematch, that was. I still can't believe he never got that. And their excuse was, well, we booked this fight twice to finally get it here. We spent 2 years doing this crazy promotional tour. Well, that's not our fault, man. But you can't disrespect the guy who's been your longest reigning featherweight champion ever, and say, no, you don't get a rematch. 14 seconds, dude. They hit each other. Conor just landed first and a little more flush. I mean, that's you go back and look at that's what happened.
Yeah, that's right.
So the Jesse James Wallace says Matt Weibel is the GOAT.
Jesse James Wallace is the GOAT. Appreciate that.
So this one, I was wondering, most of the most greatest fighters from overseas, especially in Russia or Dagestan, no one talk about them. Nobody give them rank. That's bullshit.
That's Bam Bam.
Yep.
That's one of Bryce's buddies. He trains a little bit with Bryce sometimes. He's a big Khabib fan, all those guys over there that he's talking about, Russia and
Is he
Dagestan.
Russian?
I'm not sure exactly what he is. Last name is Sadiq, I think.
I
Tarek
mean, do
Sadiq.
we speak English?
Yeah.
You've spoken to him. Does he have an accent of any kind, or does he sound like he's American?
Yeah, no, he has an accent for sure.
Okay, I thought you were saying like he's an
Says
American dude.
no one talks about them. Nobody gives them rank. I disagree. I think everybody talks about Khabib. I think everybody talks about Islam Makhachev.
Yep.
I don't know if he's ranked. Zabit, yeah. Look at Zabit. Zabit's the most. Actually, I follow all this stuff because I work on Bryce's social media and stuff like that. So I'm always kind of keeping track of where he ranks with social media because that is part of our job and to see kind of like his following. And the most popular fighters in the featherweight division on Instagram are Tukagov, Zabara Tukagov. He's got like 3 million followers. And then
Crazy.
and then Zabit second. He's got over 2 million. No one's even close to that, other than like Max Holloway, and then maybe someone like Ortega and Edgar. After that, everyone's way away. So yeah, I mean, those guys have huge followings, and I'm a big fan of the way they fight, man. Anytime you see a Russian or a Dagestani fighter on the other side of the card, I'm probably going to favor those guys. Those guys are killers.
So in that aspect, do you favor Khabib over Justin?
I think so, man. I think it's hard. It's hard to really justify not favoring Khabib in any fight. Like I want Justin to win. I love Justin Gaethje. I met him in Las Vegas before Bryce's and Lewis's debut. He's a really, really cool guy.
Yep.
I want him to be the champ. And if anyone has a style to maybe beat him, I would say it's him, especially after what he did to Tony. But we'll see. Khabib's just one of those guys, man. Like until we see him get beat, it's hard to bet against him.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the flip side of that coin. I'm going to take Justin Gaethje to win. Justin said he doesn't wrestle in the UFC because it's tiring.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean he doesn't have the wrestling, and that's the thing. And I think we're going to have to see. We're going to see his, attempt at thwarting the legendary takedowns of Khabib because he gets on you and he's like a boa constrictor. He's an anaconda. I mean, he's all those squeezing things that just before you know it, his legs are grapevine around yours, and you're all of a sudden you're just like stuck, man. Like he should open his mouth and just
Mm-hmm.
He's so dominant down there. But I've seen
when I became a Justin Gaethje fan was when he came into the UFC, and it was before his fight with Michael Johnson.
Yep.
And everyone was talking about how good his wrestling was and that he was going to take Michael down and didn't want to strike with Michael. And then he said, if I take you down, I would let you back up. Like, I'm not even going to shoot for a takedown. And if you notice in that fight, I think 2 separate times that he drops him, he could go down for the kill. He could get on top of him. There's no way Michael Johnson's going to grapple with Justin Gaethje.
Nope.
And Justin just steps back, tells him to get up. That's when I just gained this respect for him. When he said what he was going to do, and he did it. And then he stood and banged with him the entire fight. It was an amazing fight. And every single fight since then, he's done the same exact thing. And he is absolutely, without a doubt, the most exciting fighter in the UFC right now. Like, he may not draw the same, but if you're wanting a guaranteed, I mean, this dude he's got 8 bonuses in 7 fights. He's got more bonuses than fights. How does that even happen?
Unheard of.
So yeah, no one does that. So he's the most violent for sure, and he's he's the most exciting right now. I love watching Justin Gaethje fight.
Yeah, me too. I met him for the first time in Daytona Beach when he fought Nick Newell on a July 4th card on Daytona Beach. And he was the champ, and Nick got his title shot there. And
looking back at that, how crazy is that, man? Props to Nick Newell. God.
Right. I mean, for a long time, the only loss on Nick's record was to Justin Gaethje. I mean, you can't even be upset about that. I mean, and Nick, with his one full arm and one, because he's a conjunct amputee, as everybody knows, lasted longer in a fight with Gaethje than a lot of other people that have both arms.
Yeah, he's tough, man. He's good. He's legit. I
love Nick.
He's legit for sure. And I think, like you knew him from XFC. That's when I started watching him too. So when I watched him submit a couple guys that I had known of, I was like, man, this dude is like, he ain't no joke,
Yeah, I mean, Chris Coggins had him in a deep choke when we were in Jackson, Tennessee, and Nick stayed in it with one hand. You know, he threw up his hand, threw a thumbs up, and then went back to defend the choke. I mean, it was one of the craziest moments I've ever seen in a fight.
Yep.
But that's when I met Justin, and I did an interview with him that night after he beat Nick, and you know, I said, you know, so you won the fight. I said, if you won, I'll get you something, you know, post-fight snack. And he goes, Baskin Robbins bubblegum ice cream. And I couldn't find any for him. So I still owe him some. But then I ran into him a couple of times.
Maybe you'll see him again.
I've numerous times. I've ran into him a couple of WSOF events before he went to the UFC.
Yeah.
I was at UFC 206 in Toronto. Where Max Holloway, fought and won. And Justin was there cornering one of his teammates. So me and Justin took a ride around town. We went on the most incredible Uber ride I've ever been on in my life. This Uber driver was telling us about all the fucking he called them the hookers of Toronto, even though they weren't really hookers. Just this Uber driver just go nuts. He goes, you could tell that the ones I want to get delayed tonight because it's freezing outside, snowing, and they're walking around with skirts and no pantyhose. They want some action. You know, and he's trying to give us all the pointers and clues, dude. I was losing my mind, man. I have the video. I'll have to find it and share with you, dude. But it was great. So he's just a cool cat, dude. And you know, I hope he goes out there. Alex Bam says, I trained with Thug almost 9 years. He was in my corner on my third fight. I am one of his favorite sparring partner. We sparred 2 weeks ago at Rock City MMA. I love that kid like my own son. He is very respectful to me. That's awesome. Yeah. Those are stories you like to hear, man. You know, fucking the camaraderie from this sport is phenomenal, man. So we've covered quite a few things tonight, but yeah, I think the rankings thing, I think they have to fix it. I'm glad they're keeping Eric on the panel because he brought some light to some shit, and maybe they'll get some shit fixed, and you know, it'll be better for everybody, you know, and maybe, you know, the UFC will follow the ranking system and actually book the fights based on the rankings, you know, not just jump around. Now, I'm sure for you, if it's a benefit to your fighter, you don't care where the rank is. Like, yeah, go ahead, take that fight. Yeah, I get it.
Go ahead and throw him in the top 15, but keep Burgos in there too because he belongs. You know, like if you're going
to, but just overall, I mean, to keep some credibility in the sport, follow the rankings.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
You're messing with fighters' careers and their contracts. You know, like imagine if Burgos went to get he just got a new deal, but imagine if he went to go get another new deal and they threw you're ranked number 14. You know, but like he's not real. Like, he's way better than number 14.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I can see it being a real negative. You know, but hopefully,
when you get Dana White shitting on you after your fight, even though you were dominant and had 13 takedowns against the most successful takedown defender in the UFC in the heavyweight division, and he says you weren't shit. You know, I mean, he's already trying to work for that next negotiation because he knows
he's upset. Yeah, he's upset because that's a main event. He wants more action, but you should know better.
Curtis said it before the fight. He said exactly what he was going to do.
Yep. I'm sure Dana wasn't happy about that.
And then he was a man about it after. I mean, he put up a post. He goes, I gassed. I did not expect that. That's the first time I've ever went 5 full rounds. And I'll learn from it. I'll be better next time. And you know what? Based on what we've seen from Curtis Blades, every time he gets in there, he does get better. He shows us another wrinkle. So now the cardio is where he's got to, you know, make some adjustments because, you know, he said, you know, he underestimated Volkov a little bit, you know, how strong as he would be and, you know, how well he was able to use his hips. But, you know, I don't think he used his hips at all. He got taken down 13 fucking times, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I like Volkov. You know?
And I think one of the judges gave that a 48-47, which is.
Yeah, that was bullshit, man. I listen. If they want to take one round from Curtis, whatever. But I had the fight 50-44. You know, one of those rounds, I can't remember which one I gave him the 10-8 in, but you know, I gave him all 5 rounds, and one of them was a 10-8. Based on the way they should score the fight, the 10-8 was legit. You know, so when Amanda Nunes fought against who'd you just fight? Felicia Spencer. Yeah, I scored that 10-8 for all 5 rounds.
50-40. Never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Askren came out on Twitter. He said he would score 10-7 on all 5 rounds. I mean, she was dominated like that, you know. But they don't want to give away those rounds. Like you know, the judges. I want them to adapt and be better because those guys. forget the rankings. The judges affect the fighter's career more than anybody else. You know,
they should be hiring. These commissions should be hiring former fighters to be judges, because a lot of times they're boxing judges or just like incompetent. I mean, how many bad decisions have we seen? You know?
But you know what? It doesn't even have to be former fighters. You know, I know I sang his praises for speaking out about the rankings, but take a guy like Eric Kowal, who's been doing this forever, covering it from every angle, every aspect. Obviously, they respect what he does because they have him on the rankings panel. Take a guy like that and run him through, you know, some judge school, and then let him go judge fights, because he would. I would venture to say that he would probably get it right 97% of the time, because he really understands the game, and he doesn't have favorites. You know, I'm sure he has favorite fighters, but Eric will separate this and that like that. This is business. This is friendship. You know, it's a hard thing to do in this field, but he does it, and he does it quite well. You know, I try to
be clear on everyone needs to be clear on what you're judging. Like, how are we weighing a takedown with no damage? You know, like if it's an even round, how are we weighing a fighter that's landed 10 jabs? You know, say he lands 10 jabs, right? And then the other fighter lands one solid punch, right? That maybe doesn't rock, but like kind of stuns him a little bit. How are you weighing that round? If that's the only big punch he landed, are we scoring the round for him, or are we scoring the round for the guy that lands the 10 jabs? It's a tough sport to judge, for sure.
Look,
you know,
read the screen. Look at that.
And now I am a judge.
Yeah, Eric, I was giving you praise because we were talking about judging, and, you know, Matt had said, you know, they should just really have all, you know, former fighters doing it. You know, like Frank Trigg is a referee. He's a phenomenal referee. I hope one day he transition over to do the judging, because he does a great job, and I would have all the respect in the world for him. But what I did, Eric, I brought you in. I brought your name up because we were talking about the rankings, and, you know, we both respect you for, you know, speaking out about the rankings issues. And we're glad you did, because it's going to help a lot of fighters, I believe, in the future. But I said it doesn't have to be a former fighter. It could be a guy like you, Eric, that you know, would go in there unbiased, completely ethical, and you know what the fuck you're watching. So, you know, I just wanted to shout you out for that. I asked him because I wasn't going to do a show tonight, man. I was like, fuck it. I got the new computer set up. I got the new mic. I'm just going to screw around.
Looks
maybe
good.
something.
I like your backdrop. Looks good.
Yeah. And you know, the cool thing is I could change that backdrop. Like, that's the apex.
Yeah.
But, you know, if like, you know, if
you
you
were
were
right, you were there for Philip's fight.
Yeah.
The apex. What do you think about it? It's badass, huh?
Yeah. See, we could go out to the beach. You know, we're here on the beach now.
Yeah.
The apex is fucking awesome.
It's amazing.
Apex. Hold on a second. Where my apex? There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Apex is an awesome, awesome facility. I really enjoyed it. It's a great place to have fights. You know, and Dana White said, you know, when they built it and they opened it, that it was built to have fights. But it was a lot more impressive in person than seeing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I really enjoyed it. The facility there. I got to take a tour of the building. It was fucking nice. And, you know, I love to walk into it. You know, you got all the pictures on the wall. I mean, the whole thing.
Fighter jerseys. It's like
everything. Yeah.
Pretty awesome. I was able to go and see all the jerseys that, you know, my personal guys had fought on those shows, and like be able to send pictures to them. Like, it was just super cool, man. I think they should put like all their UFC Hall of Fame stuff in there too. It should be like you said, take a tour of it. Fans should be able to take a tour of that and have like a, you know, like a Hall of Fame. I think they do that in the PI, like some of the Hall of Fame stuff, but I think they should put it in the Apex Center. I think that's
and you know, well, first, before we get fans taking a tour of the Apex, let's just get fans back at the fucking ringside and cage side for fights. Here's Bam Alex again. He goes, let's be honest, Volkov was champ from 2 big promotion, Bellator and M1 Challenge. I think that night wasn't his night. Curtis was lucky. Volkov still has a chance to fight title shot. Alex, listen, Curtis wasn't lucky. Curtis is Curtis. Curtis does that to everybody. That wasn't luck. That was years and years of skill. He told us what he was going to do. I know you're probably leaning toward Volkov because I guess you have some Eastern European roots. So I understand that. But yeah, no, that wasn't luck. That was complete, total domination by the guy who said, he told them. It was like Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey told girls what she was going to do, and then she just did it. And she forced them to adjust to her, and then they finally caught up to her. Curtis Blades is the same kind of thing. He's telling guys before the fight, I'm going to take you down. I'm going to ragdoll you. I'm going to throw you around. And most of the time he grounds and pounds and gets him out of there. this was a little bit tougher of a fight for him, but he did everything except for finish. He did everything he said he was going to do, you know? So, look, he said, come on, bro. Matt, tell him.
Man, come on. Volkov ain't getting to that title shot, man. I'm sorry. He's good. He's going to be a consistent top 10 heavyweight in the UFC for a long time. He's not going to beat Blades. He almost beat Derek, but Derek put him out. He's got no chance against Ngannou, no chance against Stipe, no chance against DC. So you're going to see him in that top 7, top 8 for a while, probably till the end of his career, but he's never going to get past that. Sorry.
Yeah. And again, it wasn't luck, brother. I know your heart hurts a little bit.
Taken down that many times, that's a skill discrepancy, man. That's not a lucky thing, you know.
And again, you know, Volkov is the guy with the best takedown defense in heavyweight in the UFC heavyweight division, and he got made to look foolish. You know, I mean, 13 takedowns, man. That's not luck, man. That's
not luck at all. Maybe next time. Maybe he'll get a favorable matchup next time.
Yeah, right. Somebody that'll stand and bang with him, like, you know, the way he wants to. You know, and I mentioned her name because, you know, and I don't get to talk about her a lot anymore because she's moved on. A lot of people still bag on Ronda Rousey, you know, say she wasn't that good, she wasn't that great. And I get upset about that because she was that good, both inside and outside. And she was just ahead of the curve of all the other girls at the time she was, you know, on her run. And I tell people because, like, you know, somebody the other day said, well, you know, Miesha Tate was the best. No, Miesha Tate was one of the best, but she couldn't beat Ronda, and she had 2 shots to do it. And I love Miesha, but if you discount Ronda saying she wasn't that good, you know, then you're saying every other girl she fought sucked too, and that's not fair to any of those women. And that gets my fucking dander up.
A lot of top girls out really quick. It wasn't a fluke thing, you know. She submitted Kat Zingano I'm sorry. I'm so used to Ngannou now. I said Zingano. Zingano, I think she submitted her in like 15 seconds or something.
Yeah, something crazy.
So, no, at the time, 100%.
And Zingano beat Nunes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's crazy, exactly. Right?
So, at the time, she was the best for sure. With Holly, she just fought someone that, like, was better than her. You know, like, we just didn't know at the time.
Nope.
You know, Ronda was the best for sure. Holly came up and kind of busted that up. And then putting her back in there against Nunes, they should have never done that fight because that's why everybody rags on her so hard, man. Like, one loss, okay, but, like, the way that Nunes put her out, like, you knew watching that. Like, as it happened, you knew that girl is never going to fight again because –
it was hard to watch.
Man, like, and Nunes is, like, by far the GOAT. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, at this point, there's nobody out there. You know, Dana White said if she retires, with her goes the featherweight division. He's done with featherweight division. Why
even have one?
You know, I mean, they did it for Cyborg, and then, you know, they
look what happened to her. You know, look what she did to her. She's done that to everybody.
Everybody. I mean, you know, and people, like, you know, some people go, well, she lost to Valentina at least once, but, you know, they think twice. I'm like, she didn't lose those fights. What does it say in the record? Oh, Amanda won. Right. Amanda won. Just because Dana says it best all the time. He goes, look, this is what I thought, but it doesn't matter what I fucking think. I'm not the judge. End of story. You know,
I got a funny little story about Nunes. So I had a fighter down at American Top Team for like a week or whatever, and they were training, and they said that they were going to get some rounds in the cage, and two fighters were in there sparring. They had headgear on, and one fighter was just putting everybody they put in there down with body shots and just like send another one in, and this fighter would put him down with a body shot or, you know, whatever. Like 3 or 4 fighters this one put down, and my fighter's standing there like, damn, man, like that is legit. Like, I don't really want to go in there and get my first rounds in with that guy. And then the bell rings or whatever, and they take the headgear off, and it's Nunes. She's been putting all these dudes out. He's like, what the hell? So, yeah, she's legit, man. She's that good for sure, you know. So
yeah, I don't see anybody beating her in either division, you know. And, you know, people go, oh, let's do the third fight with Valentina. Why? She lost twice, man. That doesn't make any sense to me. And they need Valentina to stay at flyweight and build a legacy there. That's what they need from her right now. because that division, especially once 145 goes away, they only have the 3 divisions in the women's weight classes, and they really want to make that one shine. The female version of lightweight is, I could never going to have a 155. Obviously, they can't stock a 145, so I don't see a 155 ever happening. But the only woman at 155 that would make any sense to come over would be Kayla Harrison, and she's at making $1 million a fucking season at PFL because nobody's going to beat her over there. So even if the UFC calls, I'm her unless they're paying me, because at the end of a PFL season, I think if you win, I think you end up walking with like 1.4 million because you get paid per fight and you get a per diem every week. And so if you go all the way through, I think you get like 1.4 or 1.5 million total. Mm-hmm. So and you had 5 fights or 6 fights. Yeah. And you only fight 6 months out of the year, and you got time to hit new elbows during the beginning of the tournament. Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
It's solid money, and if for her, she can go out there and win this thing 3 times, and pocket, near $5 million from that, plus endorsements and everything. And then if she wants to go to the UFC after Amanda leaves and retires, because, that'd probably be a smart move. And their teammates down at ATT anyway. So I don't think they would, I don't think those two at this point would want to go against each other. I think Amanda would feel, she has to come to the UFC and earn it to just get there and get her. So, but I love what Amanda's done. I love that, they're promoting her finally, with the Modelo commercial and everything. Although I've watched that thing 1,000 times. And there's a line there is, if she's, broken ground, being the only woman in her training gym. What are you talking about? That's what they say in the commercial. She traded American Top Team with her wife and Joanna and Kayla.
All kinds of girls.
I mean, where's that come from, dude? Because I listened to the words. I'm like, the fuck are these idiots talking about? And how did that get through?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
So, UFC Fight Island is coming up. Lots of fights on the card. All these cards coming up. Tell me 3 fights that you are looking forward to, and they don't even have to involve your clients. Tell me 3 fights that we know we got coming up. You can go through any of the UFC cards on Fight Island. We already talked about this card. We don't want to give away your picks for this one. So we're going to stop there because you gave us 2. We appreciate the freebies. But the Fight Island cards, and if you don't know them all, I'll pull them up. We go over them, but I'm sure you know most of them. So tell me 3 fights that you're looking forward to over in Abu Dhabi. Then they come back to Vegas, and I think that's DC and Stipe will be the first fight back in Vegas at a pay-per-view, if I'm remembering the schedule correctly. So we'll just concentrate on Fight Island. We don't have to do anything other.
Yeah, off the top of my head, without being too basic and choosing the 3 title fights on the first card, I would say the most interesting title fight on that card is going to be Usman and Burns. I'm really looking forward to that. I like Burns a lot, man. I like his style. I like how he wants to fight anybody, and I like how he won that fight and instantly called out his teammate. Like, that's unheard of. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be a hell of a fight. I don't even know which way I'm leaning on that. I think the smart pick is probably Usman, but man, Burns is on a tear. Look what he just did to Tyron, So I'm really looking forward to that fight. The next fight I'm really looking forward to for my own personal interest for Bryce would be the next card, which is Calvin Kattar and Dan Ige. I think that's a hell of a main event. Dan is showing that he's one of the top fighters to come off the Contender Series, and he's got a really, really tough test with Calvin Kattar, man. Calvin Kattar looks amazing. He's looked awesome every time I've watched him fight, and I think his only loss was to Moicano, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's incredible, man. And if you made that Zabit fight with him, 5 rounds, he may have beat Zabit.
Yep. So, no doubt about it.
So I'm really looking forward to that fight because I know at one point, down the road, that'll be someone for Bryce to fight. Ige's called him out several times. Bryce has already told him he'd fight him in the backyard. So we already know that fight's going to happen at some point.
And, on that card, too, that you just picked, since you jumped into that card, there's a fight on there that I'm, interested in. I don't think, a lot of people are even looking at it, but down on the prelim card, there's Molly McCann versus Talia Santos. McCann's 10-2, the little meatball, and Santos is really showing that she's solid. She's 15-1. And I think this fight is really flying under the radar. And I don't think it should be flying under the radar as far as it is, because it's going to be an interesting matchup. And you're looking at two girls that are definitely trying to cement their spot in the, the limelight, if you will, of their division. Because these girls, we're starting to get a new wave in a lot of the divisions. But I think where we're going to see some talent that a lot of people aren't used to, and some really stars chop up, are the ladies. Because we're so these guys.
Yeah, it only takes one. It takes one good performance to stand out.
Just one
for these female fighters. So with someone being 15-1, if she goes out and has a really good performance, then you're talking about another fighter that they can push really well. Yeah. I'm gonna look at the rest of these. I can't remember who the last main event is out there.
Well, wow! After that one, you got Fight Night Figueiredo versus Benavidez.
Yeah, that's a good one. But I'm looking to the next week after that's main event. Robert Whitaker and Darren Till.
Oh yeah, Darren Till.
Man, that's a hell of a fight. And
I gotta pull that card up too. So let me see.
Yeah,
here.
I don't think Robert's head's in it anymore, man. I really don't. I think Till's gonna finish him, and they're gonna try and promote Till versus Adesanya.
That'd be interesting.
That's
that's probably the way they want to go, because they already had the Whitaker thing, and they don't want to give him a rematch right away. The interesting fight on this card also is Gustafsson making his return, come back as a heavyweight for Fabricio. And I didn't know Betche Correa was still around.
I didn't either. Is she on that card? I didn't know that either.
It's amazing how some people,
Did she win her last fight?
I don't even remember, dude. That's how much I didn't even know she was
because I picked against her.
You know what else on this card though too? We have two, fighters that open the prelims on this card. Ramazan Emeev versus Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Yeah.
12-0, but Umar Nurmagomedov 11-0 takes on Nathaniel Wood.
That's a good one.
That Nurmagomedov, this Nurmagomedov could end up being better than the other Nurmagomedov.
Did he come from PFL? That kid?
Which one?
The Umar.
He's a bantamweight. He fought in PFL.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anytime I see Nurmagomedov, I just kind of pick that guy. Yeah, we're gonna go with that guy.
How can you not? I mean, the guy's fucking solid, dude. Christopher Charnes says the Great Weibel.
Thank you, buddy.
But wait, there's more.
No, he does not. No, he does
Why?
not.
Let me ask you a question, Matt. I seem to be getting the consensus of people that do pop up and say, how do you want to fight with you? Or do they want you to fight? What the fuck?
I don't know. I don't know what the problem is.
What are you doing with these people, bro, that they want you? Because, I'm sensing a pattern.
I used to train with Jesse James. And then I became James's manager. And then, but I haven't fought in 8 years. So that part of my life is gone. And it ain't never coming back.
You don't miss it?
Nope. I like the business side of things. I wasn't a good fighter. I enjoyed training. I wasn't anything special. And I enjoyed getting in the business side of things and learning. And to me, that's just I don't know. I enjoy it more. I enjoy talking with Abe and Malky and learning from them. And that's just my passion, man. Really, I don't miss the fight. I miss the training. I miss jiu-jitsu training. I just don't have a lot of time for it anymore.
Well, you're a dad, a full-time police officer. You got two beautiful little girls, and on top of that, you have a wife that you have to take care of above all that stuff. So, you're busy. But I'm going to say that I can guess that all the fight training you did, probably helped you in your career, not just in physical confrontations, but in the mental aspect of what you do, because you have a tough job, one of the toughest jobs on the planet, being a cop. And the discipline required to become a fighter and to train and go through it. I'm sure you had some of that already, but the fact that you went and did all this training to become a fighter, I'm guessing that helped you grow just as much as a man and as a cop and as a father, as a human.
Yeah, no doubt. I started training when I was in high school, so I did that for a long time, and it definitely helped with the job. I think it helps in confrontations and things like that. I think it makes you more comfortable. You can never be too comfortable because you never know what's going to happen, but I think it definitely helps, with the confrontation aspect of the job and just being able to kind of remain calm.
Yeah. Dude, I tell you, man, for not having a planned guest tonight, man, and then bringing you on, dude, this has been like an epic show, man. We covered so many topics. We got to talk a lot about first round fighters, and that wasn't even the intention. It just kind of a lot of them are in the news right now, So let's talk about them. We talked about the rankings. We touched on Ronda Rousey and the female GOAT. I think we've covered enough shit for these people that are watching tonight. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you this: if you've got any questions for Matt, I'll give you guys 2 minutes to type them because I see the comments. They come up right here on the show screen. You're watching KSR with Christopher James. We are live from Tampa, Florida, and from Tennessee. Yep. And I know it looks like I'm in the Apex, but I can't. My press credentials don't work. My press credentials don't get me in there right now. I don't have a big enough reach, but one day, my show will get there. And then
when we get this, hopefully, when we get this Andre Feely and Bryce fight booked, I'll make sure Bryce comes on the show and we have a really good show for you guys. Like he doesn't do a lot of media, but we'll make sure he gets on the show this time.
That's awesome. All right, you guys heard it right there. I got a guarantee from Matt Weibel that we will get Bryce Nasty Mitchell on. Huh?
I said, clip this. Make sure you got that.
This gets right downloaded to my fucking hard drive. I don't download them all the hard drive because it's also on YouTube. So, but I'm gonna save this one. Then when it don't happen, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, Matt, man,
just send me the clip." I'll be like, "You're right. We'll get it."
I'll do some like Max Headroom shit to where it goes, "You can have Bryce. You can have Bryce. You can have Bryce."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll do it. He's like, the funny thing is about like the Andre thing. Like, to be honest with you, if I ask, like, he trusts us. He trusts me and his coaches, and we get together and we figure out who we want to fight. And like, if you ask Bryce about Andre, to be honest with you, he's probably not gonna know who Andre is. Like, he doesn't really watch a lot of fighting. He'll be like, "Yeah, I've seen a couple videos. He's tough. It'd be a good fight." Like, he's super humble, but it's gonna be funny. Getting him on is gonna be funny. It's always a good show anytime he does an interview. So.
Yeah, no, he's fun. Definitely somebody I would have loved to talk to. There's, I always have a list of people I want to have on my show.
Yeah.
And I've done some live shows. Like when I was in Canada, I was doing a live feed, and Dana White came on. I had him on for like a minute and a half. That was pretty dope. I want to get him for a full length one day, and maybe I will. But you just got to keep chasing him. I want to get John Jones on my show. Even if it's not like this, if I see him in the street and if he does 5 minutes for me, man, I'll be fucking happy.
Yeah.
Because, he'll get the interview from me that he doesn't get from anybody else because I'm pro Jones. I have no problem with, him as a fighter. He made some mistakes. He's learning. He's still young. People crapped on him for all that stuff. I was like, man, everybody I know when they're young does stupid shit, man. So shut the fuck up,
Everybody just wants a clickbait thing from him, like that's what they're looking for, is a quote or something.
Yeah, and, it's horrible, man. The one thing I feel bad for all these athletes, any sport, their lives are so under the radar, under a microscope, and sometimes it's just stupid, man. Leave these fuckers alone, let them live, They don't owe us anything. They don't owe us the insight. They don't owe us that deep look into our life, and the ones that do share with us, especially with social media, and John Jones has been a treat on social media, man. He's given us some beautiful moments. I can't even lie. Some crazy, some actual beautiful things, but it's all great, So we should be grateful for the ones that give us that much access. And don't shit on them when they do something that you got busted for 5 years ago, but because you work at Walmart instead of fucking fighting in the UFC, nobody fucking talks about your arrest for a DUI, So don't hold the athlete to a higher standard than you hold your family or your brother. And if your brother got busted for doing something like that, would you go out there and shit all over him in public? No, you wouldn't. Right. So, and would you want anybody shitting all over you in public? No, you wouldn't. So I think people have to take that in consideration. When it comes to an athlete, even TV stars or movie stars, most of those guys are all entitled douchebags, and they want to try to save the world and do dumb shit. I don't like them at all. None of them. They can all my ass. But for athletes, I do feel bad, that their lives become so public and public record, and that's the price you pay. But man, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, dude, like I said, this was awesome, dude. I'm so glad you came on tonight, man. We've never done this before, and it turned into like a great show, dude. I'm gonna have to make
Thanks
you
for having me, man. I enjoyed the conversation for sure.
Dude, I'm gonna have to have you on as a regular, like once a month segment, just me and Matt.
Cool. We can break down some cards or whatever. It sounds good to me, man.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. But if we're gonna break down cards, you have to do one where you don't feel like it's gonna jeopardize your UFC fight league,
My ranking, yeah. I think my wife's gonna win it anyways, it's like,
yeah, isn't that crazy?
It doesn't matter.
It's funny. I watch fights with my wife, and she loves fights. She supports me in all I do, and we'll be sitting there, and she doesn't do any research. She knows a lot of fights because she watches so many fights with me, but she doesn't do any research. And then we'll get there, and she'll just look and go, "I'm taking that one over there."
Yeah, that's what she does. That's what this
one.
I'm
like, all right. I said, you should take this one, and then fucking she ends up getting it right. I end up getting it fucking.
And then we look like we don't know what we're talking about.
Like, what the fuck, man? That's not cool, man. And here you are, a manager. You should know this how it plays out because you should be studying all these fighters. And I'm a member of the media, and I study all these fights and watch all this shit. And just goes to show me you just never know. There are some guys that are really phenomenal at picks.
That's what makes the sport so great. You really don't know, man. Anything can happen.
Yep, anything can happen. So, anything you want to leave us with, a parting shot, if you will, like on Jerry Springer? Hey, here's Matt Weibel.
No, man, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you having me on the show. It was fun. I love talking MMA more than anything. Like, I'm a fan. Like I know this is my job, and I work with these guys and all that. But I'm a fan of the sport. Like I'm a genuine fan of the sport. I've been a fan since I was 16. It's been I used to play all kinds of sports in high school, growing up, all that stuff. And then when I discovered MMA, I dropped everything for it. So, we've been on here for an hour and 40 minutes talking about MMA, and that's what I do every day. So, I appreciate the conversation. I always enjoy talking with another, a real super fan of the sport. And I appreciate you, man. That's all.
Well, I appreciate you, bro, for what you do with the fighters, what you do in your regular life as a police officer, man. I know it's a tough career choice in the first place. I know it's a little tougher right now, because there's, stuff going on, and doesn't necessarily mean that, you had anything to do with bad stuff, but, of course you wear the badge, you wear the blue, everybody shits on you right now. And I hate that because that's not the right way to be. Everyone isn't bad in every field, every field has a couple of bad apples. So I just, I hate the world we're in today, man. It's so crazy. We got a virus. We got to wear fucking masks. We have Seattle being taken over by a bunch of people. It's not, when you go in that little zone, you're not in the United States anymore. Well, if you're not in the United States anymore, then we should turn off your power, turn off the water, turn down the cell towers, because those are all United States amenities, and you're not in the United States anymore, so you don't need those amenities. And have a good day. Oh
wow. Yeah, maybe 2021 will be better.
Yeah, but listen, man. From the bottom of my heart, thanks for coming on tonight, man. Guys, like I said, this was very impromptu. I started the show with no guest, and I saw him pop up, said, "Hey, you want to come on?" He said, "Sure." I sent him a message. Boom, here we are. Matt works with First Round Management. Like I said, his number one client right now is Bryce Mitchell. He's got other clients too. And next time we have him on the show, see, now that I'm going to have him on again, I'll tell him now. Next time you come on, I want you to tell us about 3 fighters that we don't know, that are coming through, that we should be on the lookout for.
That works for me.
Yeah. So, but he, like I said, First Round Management, with Abe and Malky Kawa, they represent, Jones and Masvidal and Pettis and Mike Perry and so many people, Pena, Bryce Mitchell. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And, they have those big name clients for a reason. Because they get shit done. They got Yoel Romero paid from a supplement company. Who the fuck does that, man? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the kind of fucking action that goes on. Full service,
man. Full service.
Full service. They pull up and they do the wipers, they check your tires, and they light the fires. Maybe that's what they do at First Round Management. Exactly. Listen, Matt, thanks so much, man, and God bless you and your family, man. It's always good to see the family pictures and the fun you have. Again, for doing your day job and for doing this other job and for taking the time tonight, man. Appreciate you, brother. We'll have you on again real soon.
All right.
And you guys can follow him on Facebook at First Round Management, Matt Weibel News and Updates, I believe it is. It's a long one. Just type in at First Round Management.
You'll see my name on there.
It'll pop up. He has his own First Round Management Facebook page. So, because he's gangster like that.
That's
he's
right.
learning.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night, brother, and enjoy the rest of the day, and enjoy the fights this weekend.
Thank you. I will, man. All right. Have a good one.
Peace. Guys, that was Matt Weibel, man. That was a lot of fun, man. I'm glad he came on tonight. Surprise guest, sometimes it just works out where it's cool like that. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope the audio and the video was nice and clear, and that everything worked out well. Thanks again for letting me be part of your lives and for you guys being part of mine today. I'd like to dedicate this show to my long-lost friend, well, not my long-lost friend, but my recently deceased friend, Ken Bradley. He passed away about 10 days ago. And actually, it's tomorrow, Saturday will be 2 weeks. So 11 days ago, 12 days ago. Freak thing. He broke his leg a few weeks ago. And I guess when the leg break happens, they're supposed to give you medicine to prevent blood clots. And I guess he didn't get the medicine. By the time he did, it was too late. Because it was like 3 weeks after the leg break that they think they gave him the medicine. And he had a blood clot and it killed him. Just came and got him. He called his best friend in the world, Gene, and said, "Gene, I can't breathe. Call 911." And Gene did. And, then he hauled ass over there and, the police and our ambulance, I guess, arrived within 5 minutes, and it was still too late. Ken helped me out with my first TV work with XFC. He taught me some things I needed to do as far as, camera presence and all these things that I need to know, finding my mark and, being able to navigate listening to a producer in my ear while I'm talking at the same time, which was a difficult thing. He helped produce my first television show that I did, which was Kate's Hour with Christopher James on local TV here in Tampa. We made some funny videos that are on my page. You can go look, about being in Knoxville, and I was a historian. He got me into some TV commercials. He taught me a lot about the business, and he taught me a lot about how to deal with people in the business of being on television. And, little tricks of the trade here and there, and 3 weeks ago, right before he broke his leg, he was actually here at the house helping me dial in the lights for the show. Because he said that he could help me fix some of the issues I was having. And he was right, and he did. And still shocked. They're going to have a service for him this Friday night, 8:00, and then another one for a few of us that are a little bit, different area of friendship with him. And so, but tonight's show goes to Ken Bradley. I miss you, dude. And, we all do, man. Have fun up there in heaven with, your family that's up there. And, keep kicking those Reeboks, bro. Love you, man. Peace, Ken. Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Kate's Hour with Christopher James. We'll see you next time.